Welcome to this deep dive. So you sent us some really interesting stuff, all focused on how we actually, nail those big goals and build real self-discipline.
Yeah, it's a topic that comes up a lot. People want big changes.
Right, but it often feels like those huge ambitions are just miles away. What's great about the ideas you shared, though, is this core message. Real change, it seems, boils down to small, consistent actions. Let's try and unpack that a bit.
Exactly. We tend to think, massive breakthroughs need massive, heroic effort right from the start. But psychologically speaking, the reality is more about accumulating small wins. Steadily.
Yeah.
It builds what we call self-efficacy.
Self-efficacy, like believing you can actually do it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That core belief in your own ability to succeed.
Yeah.
And you build it one manageable step at a time.
Okay, let's really dive into the small beginnings idea then. One piece you sent used this image, standing at the bottom of a huge mountain.
The mountain metaphor. It's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, I think that hits home for everyone, right? We've all looked at something and just thought, wow, that's impossible.
It captures that feeling perfectly, that sense of being totally overwhelmed, maybe even paralyzed by the sheer size of the goal.
So what's the fix?
Well, the crucial shift in thinking, and this is really backed up by behavioral science, is understanding you don't conquer the mountain in one go.
Right, no giant leaps.
No. Instead, you put all your focus, all your energy on just the very next tiny step. That's it.
And doing that, it lowers the stress.
Exactly. It reduces the anxiety and starts to build that self-belief we were talking about, little by little.
And this connects directly to self-discipline, doesn't it? Because, let's face it, motivation, it's up and down.
Oh, completely. Like a roller coaster, as you said.
Yeah.
One day you're fired up, the next, not so much.
But discipline is different.
Discipline is the engine. It's steady, built on those consistent small efforts, day in, day out.
So motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going.
Spot on. Motivation's the spark. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning long term. Think about planting a tiny seed.
Yep.
For weeks, maybe longer, you see absolutely nothing happening above the ground. Feels like wasted effort sometimes.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But if you keep watering it, caring for it, those small disciplined actions, you're actually nurturing something powerful underground.
Right, something's happening even if you can't see it yet.
Precisely. And eventually it breaks through and grows strong. You have to trust that process, the compounding effect of those small efforts.
It reminds me of that Tony Robbins quote in the material. Something like, it's not what we do once in a while.
That shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. Yeah, that's a great one.
It totally reframes how we should think about making progress, doesn't it?
It does. It shifts the focus from grand gestures to daily habits.
So practically speaking, what do these tiny first steps actually look like? Give me some examples.
Sure. The material had some good ones. Like, if you want to write a book,
Yeah,
your first step, just one sentence.
one sentence a day.
Could be. Or just one sentence to start. For fitness, maybe it's committing to just 10 push-ups.
Okay, doable.
If you want to learn something new, read one page. Just one.
The beauty of that is, it feels almost too easy, right? Like you can't really say no to just one page.
Exactly. That's the point. They're incredibly easy to start. And each tiny success, each page read, each sentence written, it gives you a little dopamine hit, a little boost of confidence.
Ah, the brain likes that.
It does. And that makes the next small step feel even easier. It creates this sort of positive feedback loop.
Yeah, it's like you trick your brain. Oh, 10 push-ups, I can manage that. And then maybe you do 11.
That's it. You lower the barrier to entry, overcome that initial inertia that, I don't want to feel them.
Makes sense. And this seems to lead right into the next idea. The importance of having really clear, simple goals.
Yes, absolutely. Clear goals are fundamental.
The analogy used was a map, which I liked. If you don't know where you're going.
Any road will get you there, or nowhere specific. You end up wandering, feeling lost, frustrated.
Totally. Like driving somewhere new without GPS, just guessing.
Exactly. You waste time, take wrong turns, get stressed out. Clear goals, they activate the planning parts of your brain. They give you direction.
So instead of something vague like, I want to be healthier.
Right, what does that even mean in practice?
Bro.
A clear goal is specific, like, I will walk for 30 minutes every morning before work.
Much clearer. You know exactly what you need to do.
And that clarity supports discipline. You know the target. So the suggestion to write down just one specific, measurable, realistic goal for the week, that's really actionable.
Yeah, the example was saving $10 a week. Simple.
Perfect example. It's small, it's crystal clear, and you know instantly whether you did it or not. Measurable.
And hitting that week after week?
That creates regular small victories. Each time you hit that $10 goal, you get that little sense of accomplishment, that dopamine release again.
Reinforcing the behavior.
Exactly. And building that crucial momentum we'll talk about later.
Okay, so we've got start small, set clear goals. The material also stressed creating effective routines.
Routines. So important. Because, as the material pointed out, our lives are already full of routines.
Right, whether we design them or not, like grabbing your phone first thing.
Exactly. We have habits, patterns that shape our days. The question is, are they working for us or against us?
So it's about being intentional.
Yes. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't really think about it, do you? It's automatic.
Nope, just do it.
The goal is to create similar positive automatic routines around the things that matter for your goals. Exercise, study, creative work, whatever it is.
Building a foundation where discipline can kind of grow naturally.
Precisely. You're leveraging habit loops. You're making the desired action the path of least resistance over time.
There was that example, 10 minutes of quiet time in the morning, no phone.
Yeah, to improve focus.
I can imagine that feeling really weird at first. Like, what do I do?
Definitely awkward initially for many people. But with consistency, like watering that plant again.
Ah, the plant. It's back.
It is. That regular routine, even if you don't feel huge changes immediately, is doing something internally. It's building that focus muscle. Over time, that quiet 10 minutes could become, natural, essential even.
Okay, that makes sense. There was also a story in there about a young archer. It sounded...
Ah, yes, the archer.
That's a nice little parable.
This young boy, he desperately wants to be a master archer.
Big dreams.
So he finds a renowned master, hoping for, some ancient secret, a magic technique.
The shortcut. We always want the shortcut.
Always. But the master's instruction, super simple, almost disappointingly so.
What was it?
He just said, shoot 10 arrows at that tree trunk over there. Every single day.
That's it. 10 arrows.
That's it. The boy was like, really? No magic words, no special stance. He was let down.
I can imagine.
But he did it. Followed the instructions. Day after day, 10 arrows. At first, they were probably flying everywhere.
Yeah, missing by a mile.
But slowly, gradually, just through that consistent daily practice, his aim got better, sharper.
Just from repetition.
Exactly. After months of this, just 10 arrows a day, he could hit the bullseye almost without thinking, effortlessly.
Wow. So the lesson is?
The lesson is that mastery, real skill, it usually comes from that daily discipline. Showing up and doing the small thing consistently, not from some big one-off event or secret trick. It's the accumulation.
That really hammers home the consistency point. It's easy to overlook the power of just doing the reps day after day.
It really is. Which brings us to something else we all struggle with. Procrastination.
Ah, yes. The dream killer, as the material called it.
A good description. It feels harmless, scrolling for 5 minutes, checking email again.
But it adds up and stops you starting the important stuff.
Absolutely. And the material made a key point. Procrastination isn't usually about being lazy. That's a common misconception.
Oh, so what is it then?
Often it's avoidance. Our brains are wired to avoid discomfort. Right. And sometimes challenging tasks or even just boring ones feel uncomfortable.
So we seek immediate pleasure instead, like watching a quick video.
Exactly. The brain wants the easy reward now, not the bigger reward later that requires effort.
Okay, so how do we fight that? The material mentioned the just 5 minutes trick.
Yes. This is a brilliant little psychological hack. So simple, but it works.
How does it work?
You tell yourself, okay, brain, I just need to do this thing I'm avoiding,
Yeah.
but only for 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes. That sounds manageable.
It feels much less daunting than, say, work on this report for 3 hours. That tiny commitment bypasses the brain's initial resistance.
And what usually happens?
Often, once you push through that initial inertia, you get into it, 5 minutes turns into 10, maybe 20, maybe you finish the whole thing.
Because starting is the hardest part.
Exactly. It's like pushing a really heavy rock. That first nudge takes the most effort.
Gotcha. Once it's rolling, it's easier to keep it moving.
Precisely. It lowers the perceived effort needed to begin. Very effective.
And that links to the other tip for procrastination, breaking big tasks down.
Yes. If a task feels huge and overwhelming, that itself causes discomfort and triggers procrastination.
You chop it up.
Into tiny, almost ridiculously small pieces. Make it feel less threatening, more achievable. The staircase analogy in the material was good here.
Right. Don't look at the top of the stairs.
No. That's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right.
Just focus on the very next step right in front of you.
And then the next one.
And then the next.
Yeah.
Eventually, you reach the top, but you did it one step at a time without getting overwhelmed by the whole climb.
So for the listener, it's about asking, what's the absolute first, simplest action I can take?
Exactly. Something so small your brain barely registers it as effort.
Okay. There's another story, too. A painter. And a huge wall.
Ah, yes. The painter and the town square wall. Similar theme, different context.
How did that one go?
So this artist gets commissioned to paint this absolute massive wall. Huge undertaking. Initially, he's just overwhelmed, staring at this giant blank space.
Like the mountain again.
Pretty much. But his strategy was brilliantly simple. He decided he would focus on painting just one small section each day.
Not the whole wall, just his little patch for the day.
Exactly. He refused to let the sheer size paralyze him, just focused on completing that one small part, day after day after day.
And eventually?
Eventually, the entire wall was covered. A beautiful masterpiece, built piece by tiny piece.
So again, consistent small efforts conquer the overwhelming task.
That's the core message. Don't get lost in the enormity. Focus on the manageable next step.
Now, something else the material brought up. Facing discomfort, this sounds, well, uncomfortable.
Huh. It is. And that's the point. We're wired as humans to seek comfort, ease, safety. It's natural.
But the material says growth doesn't happen there.
It rarely does. Real growth, physical, mental, emotional, almost always happens just outside our comfort zone.
Like lifting weights. It's uncomfortable, but that's how muscles grow.
Perfect analogy. You need to challenge the muscle, cause that temporary discomfort for it to adapt and get stronger.
So the same applies mentally. For courage, discipline.
Absolutely. Pushing through procrastination, doing the task you dread, speaking up when it's hard. These uncomfortable actions build mental toughness. They expand your capacity.
There was that Denzel Washington quote mentioned, ease is a greater threat.
To progress than hardship. Yes, it's counterintuitive, isn't it?
It really is. We think hardship is the enemy, but maybe too much ease stops us from developing.
Exactly. Comfort can breed complacency, stagnation. Deliberately stepping into discomfort, even though it's hard now, is what builds a stronger, more capable future you.
So how do we actually do that? Embrace discomfort.
Well, the material suggested a few things. One, expect it. See it as a sign you're actually growing, not failing.
Okay, reframe it.
Two, maybe even celebrate the small, uncomfortable things you do. Acknowledge them. Wow, I did that hard thing.
Give yourself credit.
And three, visualize the future you. The stronger person you're becoming because you're facing these challenges.
That helps connect the present pain to future gain.
Exactly. And there was another metaphor for this. The blacksmith and the sword.
Ah, right. How did that illustrate it?
Well, think about how a sword is made. It doesn't start out strong and sharp.
No, it's just a lump of metal.
Right. It needs the intense heat of the forge to fire. It needs the repeated, forceful hammering, the shaping, all challenging, stressful processes for the metal.
But that's what transforms it.
Precisely. Those challenges forge it into something strong, resilient, beautiful, useful.
So we are the sword.
You are the sword. Life provides the fire, the challenges, and your discipline. That's the hammer you use to shape yourself through those challenges.
Wow, okay. That's a powerful image, being actively shaped by the hard stuff.
Every difficult moment overcome makes you stronger, more refined.
Okay, so we're doing the small steps, facing discomfort. But how do we keep going? Especially when results seem slow. The material talked about tracking progress.
Yes, tracking progress. This is absolutely crucial for staying motivated. Because often, especially with big goals, progress isn't immediately obvious day to day.
Right, you're putting in the work, but the mountain still looks just as big.
Exactly. And that's incredibly discouraging. Tracking provides tangible proof that you are moving forward, even if it feels slow.
Like markers on that mountain climb.
Perfect analogy from the material. Each marker shows you how far you've climbed, gives you a boost, reminds you the effort isn't wasted. It turns progress into small, celebratable victories.
And it doesn't have to be some complicated spreadsheet, right?
Not at all. Simple is usually best because you'll stick with it. Keep a journal, just jot down, walked 30 minutes or wrote one page.
Or a checklist. Ticking off boxes feels good.
Definitely. Checklists are great. Or even a small reward system. If I save $10 every week this month, I'll treat myself to something meaningful to you.
So tracking keeps motivation alive by making the progress visible.
Yes, it reinforces the value of your hard work and proves to yourself that you're capable.
There's another story illustrating this. The bricklayer. building something huge.
Ah, the bricklayer and the cathedral. Another great one for the power of accumulation.
Tell us about that one.
So this man is laying bricks, just a few each day. Seems slow, repetitive, maybe even insignificant work to an outsider.
People probably walk by and think, he'll never finish.
Exactly. The material mentions onlookers being skeptical. They only see the few bricks laid that day, not the grand vision.
But the bricklayer sees it differently.
He holds the vision of the finished cathedral in his mind. He knows that every single brick, perfectly laid, is essential to that final masterpiece.
And years later?
Years later, the magnificent cathedral stands there, a testament to those millions of individual bricks laid consistently over time.
So the secret wasn't some magic formula.
It was just showing up, day after day, and laying the next few bricks. The power is in the accumulation of those small daily efforts.
And tracking progress helps us see our own invisible bricks being laid down.
Beautifully put. It makes the invisible visible, which fuels continued effort.
Okay, this all feels like it's building towards the idea of momentum. Getting started is hard, but then it gets easier.
That's exactly right. Momentum is key. Think about pushing a broken down car.
Ugh, hard work.
That initial push, just to get it budging, takes almost all your strength. Feels impossible for a second.
Yeah.
But once it starts rolling, even just a tiny bit,
Hmm.
it gets easier, right? You can keep it going with less effort, build speed.
Definitely.
Discipline is the same.
Yeah.
Those first few days or weeks of a new habit or tackling a big project, they require the most willpower, the most conscious effort. It feels heavy.
But if you stick with it,
You start to build momentum. Each successful day makes the next day slightly easier. The habit starts to feel more automatic. It's like the car easier to keep it rolling than to start it from scratch again.
that Brian Tracy quote fits here. The hardest part of any important task is getting started.
Spot on. Overcoming that initial inertia is often more than half the battle.
So how do we build that momentum, especially early on? Any strategies?
Yeah, the material had good ones. One powerful rule is never skip twice.
Never skip twice, meaning it's okay to miss one day, but not two in a row.
Exactly. Life happens. You'll miss a workout or a writing session sometimes. Don't beat yourself up, but make a conscious effort not to let it become 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
That helps stop the momentum from completely dying out.
Protects the forming habit.
Right. Also, keep celebrating those tiny wins we talked about. They fuel the engine.
Acknowledge the progress.
And just commit to moving forward consistently, even if it's slow. Slow progress is infinitely better than no progress. Don't let perfectionism stall you.
Slow progress is still progress. That's key.
Absolutely. Keep the wheels turning, even if it's just an inch.
The train metaphor was used for this too, right?
Yes, the train. Similar idea of the car, but maybe even more dramatic. Think about the immense energy needed to get a huge, heavy train moving from a dead stop.
Massive force required.
Huge initial effort. But once that train is at full speed,
Mhm.
it's practically unstoppable. It can smash through obstacles.
So our initial efforts might feel huge for small results.
They often do. But stick with it. That consistent discipline builds momentum until you become like that train, a powerful force moving steadily towards your goals.
Okay, that's inspiring. One last major piece. Creating a supportive environment. This sounds really practical.
It is. And it's often overlooked.
Yeah.
We think discipline is all about inner willpower, gritting our teeth.
Just toughing it out.
Right. But relying only on willpower is like trying to swim upstream constantly. It's exhausting.
So shaping your environment helps.
Massively. Designing your surroundings, your physical space, your social circle, your digital habits to support your goals makes good choices easier and bad choices harder. It reduces the need for constant willpower.
Setting yourself up for success, basically.
Exactly. You're making the desired path the path of least resistance.
What are some practical ways to do that? The material had tips.
Yeah, simple but effective things like remove distractions. If your phone pulls you away, put it in another room when you need to focus. Block distracting websites.
Control the inputs.
Surround yourself with positive, encouraging people. People who support your goals, not undermine them. Their energy is contagious.
Makes sense. And making good habits easy.
Yes. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Keep a bottle of water on your desk. Put the book you want to read on your bedside table, not buried on a shelf.
Reduce the friction.
Reduce the friction for good habits, increase the friction for bad ones. These small environmental tweaks add up to a huge difference in your ability to stay consistent.
There was a final story about this. 2 gardeners.
The gardener's choice, a really clear
Where's
illustration.
it go?
Two gardeners. One just throws seeds onto hard, unprepared ground, doesn't water them, doesn't weed, doesn't care for them at all, then wonders why nothing grows, maybe blames the seeds.
The seeds must be bad.
Right. The other gardener, though, carefully prepares the soil, plants the seeds properly, waters them consistently, protects them.
Nurtures them.
And there is a thriving, beautiful garden. Obviously, the lesson isn't just about effort. It's about creating the right conditions for growth. Success needs the right environment, not just willpower.
So the question it leaves us with is,
Which gardener will you choose to be? Are you creating the conditions for your own goals to flourish?
wow. Okay, so bringing this all together, it really feels like this journey of self-discipline, of achieving big things, isn't about giant leaps at all.
Not usually, no.
It's about those consistent, small, manageable steps. It's about getting clear on what you're aiming for, building routines that actually support you, finding ways like that 5-minute trick to just start to overcome procrastination, breaking things down,
Making it less daunting.
and learning to actually embrace discomfort as like a signpost for growth, remembering the blacksmith,
Forging strength.
tracking your progress so you see the bricks being laid, building that momentum like the train.
Keeping it rolling.
And finally, being intentional about your environment, being the careful gardener.
You summed it up perfectly. These aren't, earth-shattering secrets. They're fundamental principles.
But applied consistently.
Applied with intention and patience, they are incredibly powerful. It's about shifting focus from the overwhelming end goal to the small, doable action you can take right now.
It feels really empowering, actually, to realize that everything you need, fundamentally, is already there. It just needs that first small step to get started.
That's it. The potential is there, waiting to be activated by action.
Well, thank you. This has been incredibly insightful, breaking it all down like this.
My pleasure. It's always good to revisit these core ideas.
And for you, listening, as you reflect on all this, maybe just pause for a second. What is one small, concrete step you can take today towards that mountain you want to climb? What's your very next tiny action?